Okay, in this video we discuss the main topic of this video is that the mind is a sacred place, and therefore seeing into it is sacrilege. So by definition, what is sacrilege? Sacrilege is a violation or misuse of what is regarded as sacred. So anything that pertains to the spiritual, yeah, sacred people, sacred places, sacred things, yeah. And if a sacrilegious offense is verbal, I could take a Wikipedia definition here and read from that. When the sacrilegious offense is verbal, it is blasphemy. When it's physical, it's desecration. But you see, the mind is a holy place, which means it's not a physical place. It's a spiritual place. Yeah. So it's a form of spiritual desecration. Okay, which is sacrilege. The only entity other than the created being in the mind that's supposed to exist in that mind is the Almighty Himself. Any other being that exists there or is privy to what goes on in there is committing sacrilege. Yeah, my mind is a spiritual place. Everybody's mind is a spiritual place, because the concept of mind is not the same as brain. Brain is a physical place. Yeah, but when you become privy to what the mind is doing, then you have entered a spiritual place. You have desecrated a spiritual place, the sanctity of someone's mind. This is sacrilege. Anybody who claims to have seen your thoughts has committed sacrilege. Yeah. So in the medieval times, people used to do sacrilege in a much more draconian way. When they find you being able to recite what is concealed, yeah, what is in someone's mind, they'll burn you at the stake. Yeah, because the only being that's supposed to touch there is the Almighty Himself. Yeah. So if people complain about what you did in your private space, yeah, when the only way they could have seen that is by committing sacrilege, by way of being privy to what your mind is seeing, then they've committed sacrilege. So no one who can see into my mind, yeah, can lecture me about the virtues of Christianity or any other religion, any other holy religion. Because for you to see what's in my mind, you've committed a crime already, and that is sacrilege. Yeah. So if you've committed sacrilege, where do you get off trying to lecture me about what you saw there? Yeah. No one can do that. So the mind is a place where you the created one. Yeah. That's where you exist. Yeah. Your physical body exists in this world, but your mind does not exist physically in this world. Yeah. They will call it imaginary. Yeah. Imaginary means it has no physical basis. Yeah. As in, it doesn't exist. It's subjective. Yeah. We can say anything about it, but you yourself are the only one and the Almighty who should know exactly what happened there. Anybody else who knows that has committed the crime of sacrilege. SACRILEGE. Google it. Google search it. Yeah. So the reason why targeted persons feel aggrieved, yeah, is because we have an innate need to defend the Almighty. We know that any other spirit that can talk to you, recite, or be privy to what's in your mind, yeah, is divinating and is causing an offense to the Almighty, because your mind is where you have your personal experience with the Almighty. That's where you conceptualize what the Almighty means to you. If what I think the Almighty is in my head, and somebody sees it and they believe in something else, and then they become upset with me for having my own definition of the Almighty, first of all, they've committed sacrilege. Yeah? They shouldn't have been privy to those conversations. Those are private conversations. And you can't be, if you feel aggrieved, how do you think I feel? Yeah? You violated me to see my most personal and intimate conversations. If you feel aggrieved, how do you think I feel? Yeah? So I just want everybody to bear in mind that your mind, yeah, is a sacred place. It's beyond the law. Check it. Check every law out there. The Human Rights Act. Check that. Yeah? You have the right to free thought. Yeah? The human rights does not give any human being the right to be in your mind or to dictate how your thoughts run. Yeah? No one can talk to you about how they're offended by what you're thinking. They can be offended by what you say you're thinking and by you acting out what you're thinking. But what you're thinking, that no one has given anybody any right over what you're thinking. No one has any of those rights. Yeah? So most of my music, you see, I touch on the subject of sacrilege in terms of with respect to the mind. Yeah, that's what my life story has been about. Yeah, for the last 20 years. Yeah, so when I see people who violate our minds having a bigger voice in society, it worries me, because sacrilege can lead to a lot of things. I've pointed it out in many of my videos. Yeah, and the biggest danger to society is the crime of sacrilege, where people are trying to act like they have a right over people's thoughts. Yeah, like they want to abolish free thought, which is a human right. Yeah, and the reason why the human rights were drawn up is because without them there will be all-out war. They came as a result of the armistice or peace that came after the World War II. Yeah, because they noticed that without these human rights, war is inevitable. So as these voices start to rise, yeah, the inevitability of war is always there. Yeah, so I want people to bear in mind that you must always fight for your right to free thought. Yeah, if you're in a situation where people don't want you to speak about certain things, yeah, or do certain things, then you don't speak or do those things, but you think them. They can't tell you not to think them. If you're in a situation where you're banned from practicing heterosexuality, like I am here, I'm still gonna imagine my heterosexuality in my head, and no one can come into my mind and tell me to stop thinking about heterosexuality in my head. Yeah, they can tell me not to touch their women, but they can't tell me not to think about women. When they do that, that's when I fight. When they tell me not to touch their women, I don't fight. When they told me not to do that in my head, not to touch women in my head, that's when I fight. Because my sacred place is not of this world. That's my kingdom. That's the kingdom that Jesus was talking about. When he said his kingdom is not in this world, he was referring to his mind. Yeah. So no one's kingdom is in this world. The people who have kingdoms in this world, they also have their own kingdom in their own world. But I don't have any kingdom in this world, but I have a kingdom that the Almighty made for me, and it's not of this world. It's imaginary. Yeah, it's a spiritual place. Yeah, and I always make this public announcement. I do request that no one goes into my spiritual place, my mind. Yeah, I'll consider it sacrilege if you come in there. If you try to talk to me about anything that's in there, I'll consider that sacrilege, because you have to have been in there to see what's in there for you to want to talk about it. Yeah, if I ask you to explain to me why you feel aggrieved with me, yeah, and then it can be deduced clearly that you must have been seeing in my mind, yeah, that's sacrilege, and I'll be aggrieved, and then we'll have spiritual issues. Now if somebody wants to fight me for things I'm thinking in my head, then that's a spiritual war. At the moment, I do think things in my head that make people aggrieved, which means people are showing me that they're seeing what I'm thinking in my head and they're upset about it. So I'm in the middle of a spiritual war. Many of you targeted individuals need to check if you're in a spiritual war. Yeah, where I deliberately think things that people will not like. Sorry to be repeating myself every time in my videos, but the message never changes. If it changed, it wouldn't have been the truth. It's been the same over 20 years. It's the same truth. Yeah, those of you who think things that people don't like, yeah, you're in a spiritual war, because how could somebody say they don't like what you're thinking unless they're privy to it, unless they're seeing what you're thinking? You have to see something to know it's happening for you to know if you're upset by it or not. You can't be upset by something that you've never seen or heard or known about. Yeah, so if you, most of you targeted individuals will be in a spiritual war. Yeah, this is a war we cannot afford to lose. This is the final one. This is the only one we can fight. The physical war we can't, but the spiritual war, every man must fight that spiritually. I'm not talking about getting arms and going out in the street and protesting. We don't do that anymore. That's outdated. That was outdated it's been outdated for 2,000 years. When Christ came, yeah, this is the new type of war. This is the new way we fight them spiritually, with prayer, meditation, and the purity of heart. That's the fight.